Welcome to Target Market Insights, the multifamily and marketing podcast. Each week, John Kasman interviews multifamily and marketing experts to teach you how to find the best places to invest, attract investors, and grow your portfolio. You are listening to Target Market Insights with your host, John Kasman.
Welcome to Target Market Insights, the multifamily and marketing show. I'm your host, John Kasman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you are enjoying the show, please leave us a rating and review so we can learn what you love about the show, but also get some tips on how to make it work a little bit harder for you. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Now, today we're going to be talking to Jonathan J.R. Rivera. J.R. Rivera. Now, his teacher said he would never amount to anything, from a straight D student who barely graduated high school to a businessman living an extraordinary life of limitless possibilities. Jonathan J.R. Rivera says, his teachers told him he would never amount to anything. He went from a straight D student who barely graduated high school to a businessman who's now living an extraordinary life of limitless possibilities. On top of that, he is the founder of the Podcast Factory. We're definitely going to talk to him about that. Let's welcome to the show, J.R. Rivera.
Man, thank you for having me on the show. And I hope that we can have a fun conversation. And here's the deal. I want to make a deal with the listeners, if that's okay. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. If you pick up just one aha moment during this episode, make sure that you share this episode with your people. Share it out there on social media. Let John know you liked it and put it out there so that you can be someone's hero today.
I love that. That is a great deal. And please do that. If you get some great value, share it. Let somebody else get that same value you are enjoying. JR, I went over your bio at a high level. Why don't you take 2 minutes and give us more context?
There's really nothing to be told here. I mean, I was a slacker in high school. And like you said, my teachers thought I'd never amount to anything. And the world would echo that. You'll never amount to anything. Go be a worker. And that's what I did. I was a worker for about 9 years, 10 years. I was an electrician. And then I got fed up. I jumped into real estate and broke free, and then broke down when I lost everything in 2008, and then rebuilt it all to have the lifestyle that we enjoy today. My wife, who I will refer to as Cupcake, our son Huddy, we get to spend a lot of time together. We get to take month-long vacations. We go skiing. We've got a house on the river that we're going to go to for 6 months now. And that's all possible, even if you're not good at school, which I'm perfect proof of that.
I love it, man. Always, finding ways to break through. And it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And you have done an amazing job of turning things around. We mentioned real estate, right? So what's your forte from a real estate investing standpoint?
Getting my rear end kicked, picking myself back up and saying, ooh, that hurt. Should I do it again? Okay, yeah, let me do it again. But yeah, I got into real estate. I actually became a real estate agent. So I told you I was a blue collar worker, electrician, and I needed to break free. And I knew that real estate was the key to that for me, because I wasn't good at school, because I didn't go to college, because I didn't come from money. Real estate's a great equalizer. It allows you to have that American dream. And I had a dream. It was like 3 a.m. watching Carlton Sheets talk to me about no money down. And I spent my $300 to buy that course and let it sit on my shelf for 2 years before I said, man, I'm fed up. Can't take this anymore. Jumped in and I started doing real estate. I became a real estate agent because I figured, earn while I learn. And I could do transactions, earn some commissions till I figured out my investment deals. And that's exactly what I did. I sold a couple houses. I picked up my first rental. My dad and I partnered and we picked up a rental. And here's an interesting piece to that story. And this is something that you guys out there want to pay attention to, is like, yeah, we can sit around. We can say we want to do things, but talk is cheap until you actually do the work. And so we did the work. We got our first property, and I didn't just get that property. I got Cupcake, the girl I married. She's the one that did the closing on my first property. And I asked her out to coffee, and I've created this life with me and Cupcake. And it was from taking that action of saying, I'm fed up with this blue collar BS. I need something different, and jumping in, even though that book was on my shelf for 2 years, and doing something. We bought that property, then we bought another property. Before we knew it, I had $1 million in rentals, and I didn't have $1 million in my pocket, but I'm like, hey, I'm living the dream for a little while.
I love it, man. Listen, I mean, just jumping in is such a key thing. So many people don't understand that aspect of it. Just get started, take that initiative, and see what happens next. But you've got to make something happen. Um, you talked a little about the progress in getting some results. I want to learn more about that. In your bio, I didn't mention this part, but you go by the results leader. You're known as being a results oriented individual. Talk to me about results and how do you define that?
Man, we all define results in different ways. And here's a fun thought. Results aren't always good. Sometimes results are bad, and sometimes the worst results and how we recover from them define us. And so, like I told you, we had quite a bit of real estate. We were buying rentals. We ran out of money because we ran out of mortgages. And we said, well, the market's hot. We got to start flipping. So now we're picking up flips. We're making big checks and enjoying that till the market turned on us. And boom, we were stuck. We got stuck over leveraged, all these properties, and we lost everything, man. We lost it all. We lost all our rentals. We lost all the money we put in, all the money we made along the way. We lost our houses. Dad and I lost our houses. And that was a result, wasn't it? And from there, man, I was like, should I just go get a job? Am I cut out for this? And I don't know if you felt this. I think we talked about this a little bit. I think we all feel it, is that nagging voice that's like, see, that's why you shouldn't have done that. See, you didn't belong here. I went into a downward spiral of that negative talk for a couple of years trying to figure things out. But what pulled me out of it, believe it or not, podcasts. And this is the early days of podcasts, homeboy. This is like, I got this little device that's like a brick that I have to plug in and download and all this. I was dedicated to the game back then. And podcasts pulled me out of it. And podcasts taught me about business, taught me about entrepreneurship, taught me about marketing. I didn't know anything about marketing, taught me so many different things. And I knew that when I had my chance, that I would give back. And in the form of podcasts is the way that I would do it. And that I have a podcast. You mentioned it, Results Leader. Results Leader is the name of the show. But I have been working with some of the top marketers, top writers, top people at the very top of their game and bringing their message to more listeners so that they could get the results. And I handpicked the people I worked with in the beginning and teamed up with them so that we could record our conversations and help people get results. So they didn't have an excuse not to have a good life, because here we are delivering the goods every day. And all you got to do is put in the work.
Yeah, I love it, man. You talked about podcasts picking you up, and understanding that they're good results and bad results, but results. And podcasts really picking you up, and finding these different opportunities. In those early days, I mean, were there go-to podcasts that you said, you know what, this really helped you get to the next level or really learn specific skills?
Yeah, you want to know what really screwed me up? One of the first ones, and these guys were pioneers, IBM Internet Business Mastery, taught me this idea that you could have an internet business. And so you got to think where I was. I had this real estate business that fell apart, and I couldn't give up that idea. I knew that I had to rebuild that. But then I learned about this internet business mastery and email marketing and opt-ins and all this weird stuff that took me down a rabbit hole. I don't know if it was distraction or not, but I spent a couple years there just dorking around and trying to figure out this internet business while I had a real estate business kind of languishing over there. And it wasn't until I met a guy that I partnered with who said, bro, wake up. That email marketing, the opt-ins, the video sales letters, all that stuff that you're trying to do over here to sell marketing stuff. Why don't you bring it over to your real estate business and focus on that first? And I said, damn, you're right. Why don't I do that? And so I took my skills of pay-per-click skills, copywriting skills, all of that, email marketing skills, and I built this machine. And this is back, I haven't even beat my controls. And for those out there that don't know what a control is, in marketing, a control is like the letter that's doing the selling, the video that's doing the selling is the control. And then you put other marketing materials to battle against that. I haven't beat my control since 2012. And that's a set of ads, a set of emails, and a video that do all of my renting at the apartments. And so we have a waiting list at our apartments now. I don't have to do anything. Email does it, video sales letter. Sometimes I have to throw up a Craigslist ad once in a while or turn up my ads. But yeah, I did exactly what my guy told me. I turned my skills in on that. And it's the most amazing system because people have heard of the 4-hour work week. And up until then, I was not working 4 hours a week. And today I work less than maybe 2 hours a week on real estate. We got a team for that. And we got marketing that does all that. But the point here is that I wasn't just this greedy little pig that just sits on that and says, that's all mine. I took my dude and I said, bro, you help me. We got to get your message out to more people. That's where the podcast factory started. Me and him having conversations on making agents rich, which is no longer on the air, but we did something like 200 episodes. I said, dude, this is too good. We can't keep it to ourselves. We got to share this with people. And so that was when the mission started. We're going to go out there, help people get more results. And we started with real estate agents. Then we went into more and more verticals, more business oriented verticals. Till today, I've worked with some of the greatest guys in the world, and I continue having the opportunity to work with amazing people and help them help their listeners get results.
JR, listen, man, I'm so excited because the premise of this show is multifamily and marketing, right? And you just talked about how you had this, epiphany from the partner, right? Where you were working on all this online marketing stuff, from the newsletters, email marketing, pay-per-click, all the different little strategies that are very popular from a digital marketing standpoint. And you applied it to real estate. And that's one of the big takeaways I want listeners to understand is that this is just another business. Real estate investing, whether you are investing, a broker, it's another business, and all businesses run through marketing, to grow. And if you understand that fundamentally, you now can take a playbook and start applying some of this into your business. And that's exactly what you did. And it took a while for you to figure it out. It took a while for me to figure it out. And I've got 15 years in marketing, and it took me a minute to realize, all this stuff is actually just marketing. Okay, let me bring those skills over here, and now we can play. And I think it's really important because you can bang your head against the wall trying to figure it out, trying to reinvent the wheel. And then when you realize, hey, there's already systems and processes and protocols in place, maybe they're not real estate specific, but there are ways that people have figured out how to generate leads, or how to follow up with, people in your database, or how to prospect for new properties, or whatever the case would be. Now you know how you can grow. So you've talked to so many different leaders from different verticals. You mentioned real estate agents, but other verticals not in real estate as well. What are some commonalities that the most successful leaders share?
Man, there are certain things, and one of them you brought to our show when you talked about mentorship. And if I could go back and talk to my dumb 20-year-old self, it'd be like, yo, get a mentor quick. go find somebody doing what you want to do and hook up with them, pay them, do whatever you have to do to get access to them. So I would say at the very highest level, those of us that want to achieve know that we need other people to help us, and we need guides. And so that's one thing I see amongst the highest performers is we are not afraid to throw down some dough to get access to a room of the right kind of people. Like me, for instance, I'm part of a mastermind, a DM mastermind, very high level group. I'm in there with Tim Bratz and a couple other people that you may be having on the show. Very high level players. I can't get into that room with my good looks. That ain't going to do it. So what do I have to bring? I have to bring Benjamin and a lot of Benjamins to get in there. So 35 grand a year, no problem. Boom, I'm in there. Yes, get me into that room. And I've done that I wish I could say that I've always done it, but really I didn't start till like I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, where I put down 10 grand to join a mastermind, then 50 grand. And then it just went up from there. And I realized, oh, damn, if I can afford to be in this room and they can afford to be in this room, we're the right kind of people to hang out together. You're not going to find AOPs, average ordinary people, in there because they don't believe in that. And so that's one. Another one is perpetual self-development. You have to be improving yourself daily. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what excuse you have with time or with circumstances. If you're not trying to get better every single day, you're not going to get anywhere. And I'm talking about physically. I'm talking about faith. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about education. You have to be improving yourself and your surroundings every day. The other thing is pruning. So I've got right behind me, I've got a money tree. It's a little money tree. It's only about 18 inches tall. I mean, you can see this, but our listeners can't see it. I'm in a condo. I'm in an apartment. I used to have a big house. We downsized. I had a money tree before I moved that was like 7 feet tall. It was a big monster money tree. And that money tree wasn't that big when I got it. It was a little 3-foot tree. And I grew it and I pruned and I pick off parts. And the trunk got thicker and thicker and thicker till it got too big to keep in an apartment. I had to give it to my dad. And I hope to do the same with this one. But pruning, do not be afraid to prune bad people, bad habits, bad situations. Chop, chop, chop. Your trunk gets stronger. It may hurt in the beginning, but you gotta do it. So I think I gave you a couple there. Is pruning, growth, education, investing in yourself, getting in the right surroundings. Those are some of the top ones that I see us achievers are not afraid to do in order to get what we want. The other thing, what I'll add there, and I think this is something that's important because half of America, maybe more, don't know what the hell they want. Like, I don't know what I want. So how are you going to get it? Well, figure out what you want and then work like hell to get it. So all those other habits won't do anything for you if you don't know where you're going. So you got to have your guiding light. So we all know what we want. Like me, I want to be the guy that takes my son to school every morning and picks him up in the afternoon. And so one of the things I am most proud of in my life is that we get compliments all the time. Like we just got this compliment the other day at my son's school, and he goes to a special kind of school that only goes in 2 days a week, which is great for us. But the teacher and one of the administrators too said, gosh, you guys, I love how you guys are always here together. In the morning, we drop him off. In the afternoon, we pick him up. If there's an event, both of us are there. It was story time the other day, and the teacher's like, "Whoa, oh, it's your mommy and your daddy." Hell yeah, we're the mom and dad team. Watch out. Like, we're the only people that I know that can do this, and I want to inspire more of you to be able to do that if that's what you want. I know that's what I want, so I built my life around that.
I love that, man. You talked about knowing what you want and setting it up, and that intentionality is so key. There's a quote that's pretty popular, and I actually think Tim is the last person who said it, and he mentioned the Alice in Wonderland, where they talk about where you're going, and it's like, well, if you don't know, then then you're on your way. You can't go wrong, and you do have to be really specific. I was on LinkedIn the other day and made a post about entrepreneurship versus kind of corporate America, and I'm like, listen, too many people, I think, dismiss the corporate America route. I said, you have to know what you want. And if you like, the security of a check every 2 weeks and, not having to go through, the ups and downs, right? You mentioned some hardships. I've had hardships. It's part of the business, right? That's for that individual. But, what you just described, I smile because that's kind of what we looked at. And it's more about, family. It's about being able to be there with your children. And, you have to prioritize your priorities. And I remember distinctly for me, and I think I talked to you about this as well. Like I had a moment where I couldn't be with my son on his birthday. And that made me reflect deeply about whether or not I was prioritizing my priorities, because I say my family is my priority. Very clearly it wasn't at that moment. And that may be something that, our audience is going through and try to figure out how do they break through and get to that next step. And part of that is really understanding what you want. So you have to prioritize your priorities and then align yourself with people that can get there. And you talked about pruning. And I think that's just so important, right? Pruning bad habits, bad people, the situation you're in. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a partner. But how do you prune those things so you can actually grow and flourish? And then surrounding yourself both by, perpetual self-development, but also the circle that you commit, masterminds, coaches, mentors, really putting yourself with the people that can help guide you along the way. I just think those are phenomenal insights and phenomenal skills for anyone to think about how to get to the next level. You talked about the podcast factory a little bit earlier, and I want to come back to that now, because I think as I think about your journey and having podcasts kind of pull you out of the slump and allowing you to learn different skills and grow as an entrepreneur, get your business together, grow as an investor. And now you launch Podcast Factory, working with other people at a high level. I mean, and obviously people listening to this are listening to a podcast. So I think they get the general sense of the power of podcasts, but that's as a listener. What about that perspective as a host, as a creator? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said. It goes back to the concept of intention. And so I mess around with people. We get applications all the time, and I have certain questions in there so I can look and say, can I help this person or not? What do they want? And I have people coming to me saying, oh, I want more traffic and I want more downloads and I want a #1 rated podcast. And I'm like, I'm not your guy. Like, I don't do downloads. I don't do sponsors. I don't do any of that. What I do is a very specific kind of podcasting, very intentional. And the reason I'm sitting here with you is because of my podcast, because I opened a relationship with you, because we clicked, said, damn, we got to talk some more. You get on the other side of the mic. I want to ask you questions. Come on, I want to play. That's what it's about for me. And so I have an article I wrote, how to validate your podcast with one listener. And I tell the story of a guy that had this education platform, and he went for years sinking all his money, all his time into it, and it just wasn't taking off. And the guy was on the brink of bankruptcy. And it wasn't until one day Bill Gates was doing an interview that he mentioned his kids use that platform. Boom, thing blows up, right? Validated by one person. And that's what I feel about podcasting is there is a way to do it right. And yeah, my way is right for me and for the people I work with. It might not be for you. But for me, it's the connection I make on the other side of that mic. Who is that person I'm talking to? Number one, all that matters is that one listener, and it's the listener who I'm interviewing, who then in fact is the speaker. So who am I connecting with on that podcast? And then what am I doing with that? What's my intention? When we talk about you and me, this is real world. You guys can ask John about this. I said, who do you need to know? Let me connect you with some people. Boom, expanding his network. And then he's like, hey, dude, come on my show. Talk about that VSL on multifamily thing. That's kind of neat. Let's talk about that a little bit. So my intention with podcasting is to connect with that other person. And we call this a client cartel system, connecting with the perfect person that you can help move further and further ahead. Because I think that we working together, who was it, John F. Kennedy, that said that the rising tide lifts all boats. We can help lift each other up. And so for me, it's really, as a host, it's really about connecting with the person I'm interviewing. And the other part is where we started this show. Hey, are you having a breakthrough? Are you hearing something that changes your life? Are you going to get up off your butt and do something? You will never forget me. This is my legacy. And so, yeah, I got ego. I got a little bit of ego, but dude, come on. We wouldn't be doing podcasting if we didn't have a little bit of ego, right?
You have to have a little ego, a little confidence. But I think the thing that really jumps out to me is you talked about really looking at it from the other lens, right? It's like, hey, can you help this person? What do you need help with? Are you looking just for downloads, or are you looking to do something where I can come in and help? And that's really the important aspect of it, is really recognizing how you add value to someone else as opposed to just offering up a service. I don't think we fully establish what the Podcast Factory is. So can you just take a second and actually explain what Podcast Factory is and maybe how that differentiates itself from some other options out there?
Yeah, man. I mean, sure. I'll pitch my product. That's what I'll do that. Thank you. No, really, what we do is very specific. We are a podcast agency. We're podcast production and marketing. What we do, though, inside of that is very specific, because you can go to Fiverr and get somebody to produce a podcast for you. What we do is turn a podcast listener into a phone call, into a sales conversation, and into a closed sale. And so we have a system for putting all that together. We have the client cloner. Who are we talking to? The content vault. What are we saying to them? The client matrix. What do we want them to do? And so for us, it's like, all right, well, I'm John. I'm raising money for multifamily, so I need to make phone calls. I need to get appointments with investors. Okay, so interview investors on your show, and then have conversations later after that, after you've established that relationship. Hey, are you interested in investing? Are you looking for this or that? How can I help you? Then move that into, okay, closed sale. We got a new investor. He's helping fund this deal. It's like we're about turning the podcast into that phone call and a sale. And so that's what differentiates us. Anybody can make a podcast. What I like to say is any dummy with a smartphone can make a podcast, but not anybody can turn a listener into a client. And that's what we specialize in. Yes, we do the podcast. Yes, we create the assets, but it's the underlying strategy to get more referrals, to get more phone calls, to get more sales that differentiates us from anybody in the world.
JR, I love it, man. It's a mic drop. If I had some extra sound effects, we'd be blowing them all up right now. And my major takeaway is this. Focus on the results you want in your business, right? Not the vanity metrics. I think right now it is so and this can go for social media as well. It's so easy to get caught up in your follower count, downloads, likes per post. None of that crap matters. It doesn't. This is really about building relationships with the people that your business thrives off of. And if you're doing that, you can grow. It's not about the vanity stuff. And, I like when now I have full context of when you said, hey, if you want a number one rated podcast, you want X amount of downloads. That's not what we do. You help people drive their business. And it really comes back to what their business objectives are. And I think that's one of the things that stops people from wanting to get into podcasting, right? Because they don't want to just do the vanity metrics, or quite frankly, maybe they're concerned. They don't think they're going to get 50,000 downloads, and they don't want to put their name and face out there and see 3 downloads of their latest episode. But to your point, if you can do this in a way where you can actually grow your business and be very strategic about it, it could be an excellent avenue. I know you've got some free resources for us. So for folks who want to check out and learn more, you can go to thepodcastfactory.com/more. And JR will have a lot of great things there. So check that out, thepodcastfactory.com/more. JR, we're going to go to our bullseye round now. You ready?
Uh-oh.
This is a fun one, man. All right. Give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
Man, that question sounds familiar. We're reading the same books, you and I. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I would say that I did share one. Let's share another one from the same time. Back in the day when I was doing the real estate and we moved to the flipping game, it was great. Big paychecks. I remember getting a $50,000 paycheck and saying, damn, I didn't make that all year last year. Look at me go. But here's the thing. There was so many things I messed up back then. But here's what I would do. And you will recognize this as a real problem. I would go out, find the deals, go out, get the money, go out, buy the materials, go out, put on the tools and start doing the repairs. Go out, market the property, go out and sell the property. And I was wearing too many hats, and it's no wonder that crashed. But it took me many years, and I'm still working on this every single day, I realized that, oh man, am I going to be the guy that is doing the deal, or am I going to be the guy that's doing the work inside of the deal? And it made me realize that I had to keep getting myself out of that, pushing back out of that. And so even to this day, man, I do this every quarter. I review my worksheets. Yeah, I keep a timesheet. It's nerdy. But I review them every quarter and I say, okay, I was doing this, this, and this. This is taking energy from me. This is taking energy from me. Delegate or delete, delegate or delete. And every quarter, I'm delegating or deleting activities that aren't in my unique ability. And so it took me years to learn that, and I'm still learning it. Like right now, I still, when we record an interview, I'll still upload it. And I'm like, why am I uploading this? I just need to hand this card to someone. Delegate or delete, delegate or delete. I'm always stripping down to what's my core essence? How am I going to bring the big value to my company? And if it ain't in my unique ability, I shouldn't be doing it. I should delegate or delete.
Man, just great insights. I wrote down a couple of things here that I'll pocket, but the one I want to call out for the listeners is what takes energy from you. And if you can figure out what's taking energy from you and documenting that, what are you doing that you're spending your time on, and documenting that and offloading that, just great insight there. All right, give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
A digital or mobile resource that I recommend for my business. Here is this. I don't know if people have heard of these, and I think you can find them in just about any store. You ever hear of a phone? Yeah, people forgot how to use the phone. Okay. And I love, like you this morning, you know that you sent me some email and I texted you, and now I have you in my contacts, bro. I'm like all about the phone, and I'm about making phone calls and calling people. It weirds people out sometimes. Like I'll get an application and I'll call them right away. If I'm not in a meeting, I'll be like, hey, listen, got your application and just wanted to say hello, see if you had any questions. And they're like, well, what? And I'm like, look, I'm old school. All right. I like to pick up the phone and talk to people. If that's not your thing, I'm not your guy. So let's just nip this in the bud. And so I love picking up the phone and talking to people. And I think it's trendy to do that if you want to make money.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Yeah. So the one that I have recommended and read most, and it's probably been in the last 2 years. Why? It's the Jocko Willink book, Extreme Ownership. Okay, Extreme Ownership. I've read that book at least 10 times. I've given it to my team. Cupcake doesn't like to read, so I got her a Cliff Notes version and highlighted for her and tabbed it and everything. But this idea, we're living in I'm not going to get too political here, but we are living in this crazy world where people are victims and they want the state to take care of them. And they're like, take care of me. Nothing's in my control. Oh my God, give me a stimulus. But look, whatever happens, it's because of you. So if you made money, if you lost money, because of you. If you're happy, or if you're sad, it's because of you. If you're up or if you're down, that's all on you. So own it. Once you start owning it, then you take control of your life. And so I've given this to everybody, and I work hard on my leadership style, not only to own everything, but also to allow my team to own everything as well. Give them the room, and not like I come down on them like all hell's breaking loose, but yeah, let's all own our part and we'll make this better together.
What's a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals?
Man, I would say that more than a habit is a routine. And so I get up, I meditate, I exercise, I read the Bible, and I get a little bit of family time. And so I get up, right now I'm getting up at 4:59 in the morning because school's out. Usually I get up at 3:59 in the morning, but I get an extra hour of sleep now. But I get up and I do all of that, and I have time to put into myself, time to put into my faith, time to put into my fitness, time to put into my family, so that I can show up to work ready to knock stuff out. And that has really changed my life. Is like when I get to work, I'm like, I'm ready. You know, it's not like, oh God, I gotta go to work now. It's like, let me knock this out because I took care of myself.
What are you curious about right now?
You know what I am curious about right this second is I'm curious how crypto crashed and how I'm going to get money in there soon enough. But you know what I'm really obsessed with, and Cupcake and I have become obsessed with it. And we didn't get to talk about it too much on this show, but you got the idea that we're in real estate, that we have a podcast agency. But the other thing that we're really, really obsessed with is multiple streams of income, multiple businesses, buying businesses, and creating more cash flow. Because to me, it's like, I don't care about net worth. What I care about is how much cash flow is coming in and how I can grow that. And so I'm obsessing right now. We have an e-com business we just started. We have a media company that's just getting off the ground. Then we have the agency and the real estate. And I'm looking at, all right, I got this pocket of money here. Where can I invest this to make a cash flow? And then I take the cash flow and maybe put it into my insurance or into my IRA or into my trading account. But I'm obsessed with more cash flows.
What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. It's like getting around the right people. There's this funny analogy that we've all heard a million times. It's that crabs in the bucket thing where a bunch of crabs in the bucket, one tries to get out, the other crabs get pissed and they just go nuts. But meanwhile, that bucket full of crabs is going to be turned into a crab cake that I'm going to eat. So that one crab trying to get away is like, no, I don't want to go in that guy's belly. It's like getting around the right people. And I talk about champs and chumps. Like the chumps are going to bring you down. The chumps are going to tell you that's not possible. The chumps are going to be talking negative all the time. The champs, they're going to lift you up. They're going to elevate you. They're going to tell you what is possible. So you can make a choice. You can be a champ or a chump, but you can't be both.
Taking a pause so you drink. All right. Give me the best. No, are we there? No. Yes. All right. Where are you located, by the way? I didn't ask you that.
We are in downtown Orlando. I'm living in my dream condo. And I first stepped foot into this condo maybe 2 years ago. Well, the one upstairs, I walked into it and I said, Cupcake and I were like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's $500,000. We could never have this. And I realized, dude, I got some bad limiting beliefs. And the people in my mastermind, the champs, were like, what do you mean? Just $500,000, baby? Just go get it. And I was like, yeah, why don't I just go get it? And like 3 months later, we got this place. And it was like, that's what I'm talking about is the environments. Like they will lift you up. You want to be around those people that are, yeah, you got the money. Go get the Ferrari. Go get it. Go do it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I got one too.
I love it, man. All right. So you're in downtown Orlando, one of the hottest real estate markets in the country right now, on fire. But I want to talk about food. Give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
Man, you're not going to believe this. It's right behind me. Pig's Kitchen. I mean, you know what happened, man? We used to go out to eat all the time. And when COVID hit, obviously there was no going out to eat. And Mommy got good at cooking. And I just like to eat at home.
I thought you was going to tell me that like she's always been a baker. That's how she earned the nickname Cupcake. And, you were like, hey, I'm just going to sit here and eat.
Right. I'd be a little chubbier, but she is a baker. She loves to bake, but she learned to do more and more cooking. And I guess with the kid, it's like she wants to take care of us and she does a good job of it.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, JR, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. I really enjoy hearing your story coming from, humble beginnings as a D student to figuring out multiple streams of income through the various businesses that you have. And you gave us some really tangible insights in regards to the approach. And again, I don't want it just to be on podcasting, but when you are looking to connect with people, focus on the relationships and get rid of the vanity metrics. That's one of the most powerful insights I'm taking away from this conversation is focus on the things that are really important, whether that is the relationships, whether that's the lifestyle you want, whether that is knowing where you're going, but really be intentional with that and focus on those metrics and those, KPIs, key performance indicators that will help you know where you're at on that journey. And if you can do that, I think you can be a real success. Results Leader is the podcast. And again, your company is thepodcastfactory.com, and you've got a freebie for us, thepodcastfactory.com/more. Can you tell us exactly what they will see when they go to that website?
Yeah, so we talked about, and you can see that I've been practicing some of my hooks like champs and chumps and sampling the lifestyle you want and all that. And so we could never have enough time to cover all those things. And so I go deeper in them. I've got a report there. I'm going to have some videos there on these topics, but it's just going deeper on building a life with intention. For me, it's family or faith, family, fitness, and finances. And that's what I focus on. Those are my pillars of purpose. But how do you build that life you want? And so I help you through all that with videos and some writing and anything I can think of to put there around these topics to help you guys get better results. But more importantly, you guys made me a promise. If you got something from this episode, you better go out and share it. I'm watching you.
I love it. I love it. Please share the episode. JR, pleasure having you on. Look forward to staying in touch with you, man. Take care.
Man, thanks for having me.